Well, from the Stoller Hall in Manchester, it is fight week like no other, one we've all been waiting for as Tony Bellew rolls the dice for the ultimate fairy tale dream against the cruiserweight king, Alexander Usyk. Darren Barker's going to be with me throughout the next couple of days. A brilliant build-up we've got planned for tomorrow and Saturday as well. It's every fighter's dream to win a world title. It's almost out of the realms of possibility to even dream of what Tony Bellew is within arm's length of on Saturday night, though.
There's winning a world title, then there's becoming a legend. You know, Usyk's almost there. You know, he's the undisputed cruiserweight world champion, and Tony Bellew's, he's like I say, he's captured a world title before. He's achieved his dream. He's fought in front of his adoring fans at Goodison Park, but now he has the opportunity to become the #1 cruiserweight in the world. Not many have been able to do it, and you know, just talking about the cruiserweight divisions, it's a glamorous division as well. It's not like it used to be, you know, 20 years ago. It's a division that people, you know, would dream would be a #1, and Tony Bellew's got the opportunity in front of his home fans in Manchester. It's going to be electric.
Usyk kind of saw him as the final piece in the cruiserweight puzzle, and it says a lot when you've essentially done the computer game equivalent of completing a division that you still want to go back, because we know Usyk's long-term plan is to move up and challenge the top names in the heavyweight division. Yeah. No doubt he will have success whenever he does do that, but the fact that he's willing to come here to Tony Bellew's backyard, take this risk again, says all about the man that Tony Bellew's in with on Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, he's a road warrior. He's not afraid to travel. We've seen him go to Latvia, to Germany, to the States, fighting top class opponents in Russia as well. And you know, he's not afraid of travelling. This all stems as well, going back to his amateur days. You know, he would have been a road warrior then, as a lot of amateurs are. You're travelling to different tough nations, fighting in multi-nations, and I mean, that's held him in good stead. But he's a fighting man. He's one of the most talented boxers out there, and I think him coming to Manchester, he won't be overawed, I don't think at all. I think he is almost relish the crowd being against him. I just think he's just so used to it, and honestly, I have him in the top 5 pound-for-pound fighters in the world. I mean, he's that good. He's come to Manchester, I think, not only with the ambitions of becoming, you know, a bigger name over here, but I think all roads for him. We've heard it before. We spoke to him at Wembley. He wants to fight Anthony Joshua, doesn't he? I mean, he's not overlooking Tony Bellew in any stretch of the imagination, but I think for him, he wants to move up to the heavyweights, and he would love to fight Anthony Joshua.
There's a certain type of cruiserweight that has the potential to have success at heavyweight. They've got to have hand speed, they've got to be sharp of feet, they've got to be sharp in the mind as well. Also, the thing about Alexander Usyk is when you meet him, he's not a small guy either. No. He's a big cruiserweight, he's strong, but he's got the movement as well. We saw David Haye move up and have some success in heavyweight. Fell a little bit short against the likes of Vladimir Klitschko, and of course Tony Bellew in the later stages of his career, but he was obviously a different man then. But Usyk is somebody that screams potential, and if anyone could go up and dethrone somebody like Anthony Joshua, I tell you what, you wouldn't bet against him given the names that he's beaten in the amateurs, plus £200.
Of course, I mean, look, we've seen him in there, like you say, Joyce. Joe Joyce is a great fighter. He's a very good fighter. He's a very good amateur, rather. And Usyk played with him. Not, you know, no disrespect to Joe Joyce, he really did. I was reading an article in the Boxing News. Malik Scott sparring with Usyk, and just said it's frightening how good he is. You know, he's got a second to land a shot. He'll land 3. You know, and you can't get a shot back. He did. I mean, the Malik Scott is a heavyweight. He's been in there with big punches. Didn't say the power was huge, but demands respect. So, you know, if anyone can move up, Usyk can. He really can. And Malik Scott is touting him to become a heavyweight world champion.
Tony Bellew, of course, though, the one man that we just never can really write off. And you have to say, whatever odds are stacked against him in terms of the numbers, we'll talk to Tom Craze about that on Saturday. He looked very, very sharp in training 2 or 3 weeks ago, and at the open workout yesterday, very, very good feet, very sharp hands, potentially the best version of Tony Bellew we've ever seen. We know he's going to need that, but ultimately this could be a closer fight than people think.
Well, look, he's got a will to win that I have not really seen in anyone before. You know, that passion. When the crowd get behind him, he really buzzes off of it, and he carries that through into the fight. He's got huge power in that left hook. We've seen against Makabu, against David Haye, and it's about trying to land the shot. I mean, if anyone can pull this off, it's Tony Bellew. I was speaking to Barry Hearn at the Copper Box, Ryder Sorokin, and I said, "How do you see the fight going?" And he goes, "Look, I will never bet against Tony Bellew again." He goes, not bet. He goes, I had Bellew losing against Makabu and against Haye twice. He goes, "I'm never doing it again."
Well, Al Siesta, one of the matchmakers here, does a great job with some of the international fighters. He said the thing about Tony Bellew that you just cannot put a number on, you can't put odds on, is that he has good karma and things seem to work in his favour. Obviously, he puts in the hard work. Sometimes fighters just make their own luck, and he's that kind of guy because he carries that self-belief. And we've got some great features with Dave Coldwell talking about that absolute inherent self-belief that Tony Bellew has, and that there's no way he would walk into fight anything other than 100% confident in his own abilities. And sometimes in this game, those margins are so fine that can be the difference when you need to land that shot, or when you need to get through that rough patch. Total and utter self-belief. And that's what he's going to have on Saturday night. But either way, Darren, listen, whatever happens, he can look back on his career completely fulfilled, knowing that he did everything he wanted to do and he tried to do everything that he could have done.
And it's not over yet. This is the biggest fight of his life. One that he desperately wants to win. And like you say, if anyone can do it, Tony Bellew will.
Absolutely. Well, Saturday night, live on Sky, pay-per-view and Dazn in the United States. Tony Bellew, the former WBC cruiserweight champion of the world, taking on the undisputed 200-pound king, Alexander Usyk.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get underway with our press conference, but first, a very special presentation. As you all know, on the line Saturday night is the undisputed Cruiserweight Championship. And a very important part of that undisputed factor is the prestigious Ring Magazine Championship belt. So here to present it to Alexander Usyk for the first time, please welcome Mr. Tom Gray from Ring Magazine to make the presentation.
On behalf of the Ring Magazine editorial board, we hope that Alexander is honoured to hold this belt as what we are to give it to him. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Saturday night here in Manchester, another great night of boxing at one of the great arenas here in the world for championship fighting. Now, what makes people want to pluck down their money for Sky Box Office and for the Dazn subscription? Compelling fights. Fights that are meaningful. Fights that really make a difference. Fights, and this fight in particular, the type of thing that comes from a Hollywood screenplay. You know, one of the most prestigious titles, as I recently said at a press conference, was the Heavyweight Championship. But in the world of boxing, to all fighters, the most prestigious thing you can have is all those alphabet belts, to be the undisputed champion. And that's what we have Saturday night. On the line, the undisputed Cruiserweight Championship of the world. An undefeated champion versus a fighter who has announced his retirement after this fight, a fighter that's come back time after time against all odds. What will happen Saturday night? It's right out of a compelling screenplay, and it's the type of thing that fans want to see. So here to tell us more about it, please welcome Mr. Eddie Hearn from Matchroom Boxing.
Thank you, Michael, and I couldn't agree more. This fight, the biggest fight, the best fight, I believe Matchroom Boxing have ever promoted. The creme de la creme. It doesn't get any bigger than this. Everybody who loves sport, everybody who loves boxing, this is the pinnacle. The undisputed Cruiserweight Championship of the world. The opportunity to say, you are king. These two great fighters, we currently have the king of the division in Alexander Usyk. After 15 fights already the undisputed champion, owning these 4 belts, and of course, this fantastic Ring Magazine belt as well. And to our left, we have one of the greatest success stories of British boxing, a man that has refused to give up and has come back and has won British, Commonwealth, European, world title belts, and now sits on the cusp of, like Michael said, a true Rocky story to become the undisputed champion of the world on Saturday night. A genius here and an incredible fighter to my left who talks about the potential of this being the last one, of there being peace after Saturday night. But as we all know, before peace must come war. And on Saturday night, I promise you, one of the most gripping, compelling fights you have ever seen in this country. An historic moment, the first ever undisputed fight in British boxing history. And we are incredibly proud with K2 as well, our partners in this event, to bring you a very special moment for the sport of boxing. And now to ask the fighters a few words before we talk to Dave and Alex and Aegis as well, I'm going to pass over to one of our broadcasters this event, live on Sky Sports box office and streamed live on Dazn in America, our host broadcaster, the head of boxing for Sky Sports, Adam Smith.
Thanks, Eddie. I just want to send huge congratulations to Alexander Usyk for picking up another belt. Have a look at that. The treasure there, 15-0 and 5 incredible belts in front of him. I wonder if Tony Bellew will be taking those 5 back on Saturday night. 1 for Rachel, 3 for the boys, maybe 1 for Dave as well. Let's ask him. Tony, firstly, training camp has been long, grueling, hard. First time in a couple of years you've got to make the weight. Are you feeling as strong as you ever have in your life and as confident ahead of this almighty challenge?
I'm always confident, Adam. It's been a long camp, yes. I've been very diligent in the way I prepare. Making weight is not an issue. Alexander faces the exact same problems as I do when it comes to making weight. Me and him are very similar in size. We are basically heavyweights who have to make weight. This is the modern day system, and by moving the weight category to 200 pounds when it used to be, I think it was 186, that's what that allowed. It allowed the smaller heavyweights to come down, so it's not an issue. I've shown what I can do at heavyweight, and believe you me, I will show even more what I can do at cruiserweight, because I am only faster, sharper, possibly even stronger at cruiserweight. But I go in here and for the first time genuinely in my life, I feel like I meet a man who has exceptional skills, an exceptional amount of talent. He has everything I have besides that one thing, and that's the fact that I can switch someone's lights out within 1 second. And I don't care what he says, what his team says, what anybody says. I've had that ability since I was 12 years old. I learned it at school, and I'm still carrying it right now as a grown man. I can turn people's lights out with the blink of an eye. It's never happened to him before, but it could happen to him on Saturday night. Either way, I'm going to find a way.
Tony, people forget you had a terrific amateur career. You've shared the ring, both as a professional inside and under the lights, and in sparring with some great fighters over the years. Is Alexander Usyk the best, in your opinion,
Yes.
that you will ever share a ring with?
Yes.
Why?
He is the ultimate test. There is nothing this man cannot do, Adam, in a boxing ring. He's the most complete fighter I've ever faced. Everything he does is class. Listen, before this fight was done, I've always been a fan of Alexander. I've had friends interview him. He's amazing at what he does. If I wasn't fighting him, I can promise you right now, I'd probably be sitting in this audience as a fan of his. So, like I say, not for many fighters are as honest as me, but it is what it is. I think he's a fantastic champion. I remember my time in Ukraine, and he hadn't yet captured the likes of the European gold medal, the world amateur gold medal, or the Olympic gold medal at this stage. But even then, everybody knew on that camp who he was. Everybody then knew he was an exceptional talent. Him alongside Vasyl Lomachenko, Glavatsky was there as well, the heavyweight who I was sparring. They're just the quality fighters. He's a brilliant fighter. I have nothing bad. I have no disregard towards this man. I just have to beat him up on Saturday or find a way to do the impossible. I want to tell you how, I really do, and I want to just don't blurt my mouth out and say, but then for once, a little man next to me could probably beat me up now at this stage. So I'm going to just keep my mouth shut and say the only chance I have is a puncher's chance. I cannot outbox this man. He is a formidable opponent. He has everything that any boxer could possibly want. And even worse than that, he's an audible southpaw. So he's great. I have no bad words at him. I know it's unusual for me to sit at a press conference and give someone so much credit, but there is nothing I could say, or I'll be honest, I wish his English was a bit better. I know he's bullshitting me a little bit. He does speak better English than he's letting on, but he doesn't speak good enough English that I can have banter with him back and forth and I can get him going. So I would have if I could have, I'm not going to lie. I do like a little bit of back and forth, but ultimately I admire him. Fantastic champion. And I'm happy this fight's happening. This is the most significant fight in cruiserweight history. It's the richest fight the cruiserweight division's ever seen. And you know who brought that to the table? I did. He brings the hardware, I bring the money. Never ever forget that. I've generated something that no one could ever see for me before it. Nobody cared about me when I was sitting on the floor in Canada as a failed light heavyweight. And I told the world that the reasons why it happened the way it happened. No one cared about me after the crazy, cleverly rematch, and everyone said it was terrible. Tony Bellew's crap, he's this, he's that. No one listened, no one believed. You know who did believe? A couple of people sitting here with me, the family at home, me team around me, my father, Gary Disley, my wife, my kids, they all believed. Every one of them believed, and look where I am now, and that's what belief can get you. I've failed many times. But right now I'm about to take the greatest step of possibly any British fighters ever took. And I'm going to do it on Saturday night.
Just finally for now, Tony, I know tactics are top secret. You've won your last 10 undefeated since that night in Canada. How worried are you that this last fight that you've gone on record and saying, you've told Rachel, you've told Dave, you've told Eddie, you've told all of us, it will be the last one on Saturday night. How worried are you about a final failure after so much recent success?
Do you know what, Adam? We all fail in life. Now, I have failed on a greater scale than anybody probably in this room has ever failed before. But you know what? I've also reached greater heights than most people in this room have ever reached before. And to reach the great goals, you have to take great risks. And sometimes they go wrong. Make no mistake, I can lose on Saturday night. If he's as good as everyone thinks he is, and as good as everyone says he is, then I could lose Saturday night, no problem. I've got no problem with that. But what would have haunted me much more was if I would have stayed retired. And then when he calls my name with all them belts around his waist, I just walk away. That would have haunted me. That would have haunted me. And it would have, I can't even think about doing it. So I made the phone calls. I made it happen. Yes, I can lose this fight. Not many people say, well, yes, I can. Of course I can. He's very good at what he does. Do I think I'm going to lose the fight? Absolutely fucking not, no. I'm going to beat him. I'm going to stop him. I'm going to break his heart. And you look in my eyes when you say that, and I tell you now, mate, no, every single person will believe when I'm saying it. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get the monster. It's time to let a monster catch a monster. I'm telling you now, mate, I'm going to find a way. As good as he is, as great as he is, he's meeting someone with something inside him. I can't even put it into words what goes through my head. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know when I'm going to do it. I just know I'm going to punch him in the face really, really, really hard on Saturday night.
Alexander, welcome again to Britain. Fantastic to have you over here. How excited are you finally after your long training camp in the Ukraine? And thank you for letting us over to experience that. How excited are you for performing and defending all of those belts in Manchester here on Saturday?
Приветствую всех собравшихся,
Hello everyone, teams.
Я очень вдохновлен, мне очень нравится атмосфера, которая происходит в Англии, в Манчестере.
I'm really inspired. I enjoy the atmosphere here in England and Manchester.
Я реально когда-то себе мог мечтать о таком, побывать в Англии, просто побывать, даже не том, чтобы боксировать. А в субботу я здесь буду боксировать.
Many years ago, I was dreaming about England, about visiting England. I couldn't even imagine that someday I will be fighting here in Manchester.
Я такой довольный, как маленький ребенок, который получил киндер-сюрприз.
I'm as glad as the small kid who received the Kinder Surprise.
Thank you.
Well, we're really pleased to have you here as well, Alexander. How dangerous is Tony Bellew as your big challenge?
Да, очень опасный парень, ростом как я, весом как я, злющий. Смотрите на глаза на его. Конечно, опасный.
He is really dangerous. Look at him. He's the same height as I, the same weight. And look at his eyes. They're just angry.
Tony says that you're by far the best fighter that he will have ever shared a ring with. Do you think Tony Bellew is the best you've shared a ring with?
Совершенно верно, на данный момент да.
Definitely yes. Tony is my best opponent ever.
So what do we see on Saturday? Tony's predicting a war. It's his last fight. I think everything will be put into it. What about from your side?
Что мы увидим в субботу? Тони говорит, что будет война, потому что это его последний бой, и он положит все, оставит в ринге. Ты со своей стороны что будешь делать?
Я буду боксировать, я буду делать то, что я люблю, а люблю я боксировать.
From my side, I will be doing boxing, because I will be doing what I love, and I love boxing.
Самое главное, что и со стороны Тони, и со стороны моей будет желание проявить себя. Так что из этого получится очень великолепно красивый поединок.
The main thing from my side and from Tony's side will be to perform our best. And that's why I think this event will be a really spectacular one.
Thanks very much. We can't wait.
Thanks, Adam. And a quick word now from the two teams. Firstly, I'll start with you, Aegis, long-time manager of Alexander. You've made some big fights in your time, and we know you've witnessed also the great atmosphere that big British events bring. Excited ahead of Saturday night.
Hello, Manchester. Very, very proud to be here, and of course, more proud to represent one of the best fighters in the world today, Alexander Usyk. As far as how big his fight is, we don't have to talk. We can see that here, right on the table. All these belts talks for themselves. So Alexander is going to be facing very tough opponent, Tony Bellew. I liked Tony Bellew as a fighter for a long time. I know I was watching him all the time. After his speech today, I like him well as a person. He speaks very highly and very professional. So I believe Saturday night we will see very, very good fight. It's the biggest fight I ever been involved, and I've been in a big fight. Thank you.
Thank you, Aegis. Alex, just a few words. I just want to thank you and K2 Promotions and Aegis as well. I can't believe that an undisputed fight has happened so easily, with no drama, with no tears, with no punches between the camps and the promoters. And it's been a joy to work with you and your team. Well, it is, yeah, we've got another 5 minutes. We all wanted this fight to happen. We all love this sport. And on Saturday, we get a very special moment for our sport and also a great, great fight.
Thank you, Eddie. Definitely, it was really a pleasure to meet you first and then to make it happen. It took us just 10 minutes to agree on all the issues, and I'm happy we are now here again in Manchester, speaking to media. And recently I have learned something special about the British fans. Never ever in my life I met the audience that is so deeply involved in sports of boxing. And just a regular fan knows more about their idol than probably standard journalist in the world. And that's really amazing. The crowd here is really unbelievable, is something special. Once Usyk comes to the street, people meet him, people want to take a picture, want to take his autograph, whatever. So that makes it amazing. And Usyk had a wonderful camp. He's here, ready to go. I saw Tony last night at the open workout, and you see him now. He's probably he used to have a good camp as well. So that means that Saturday night, just in a couple of days, endless days, but just in a couple of days, we're going to see a tremendous, tremendous fight. Probably the fight that might become the fight of the decade. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Dave, a huge moment for you and Tony. Obviously, you know, we talked and we heard from Tony about the lows, and it's been an incredible run since then of 10 fights unbeaten and some great nights. Everton, of course, the two David Hay wins, and now on the cusp of doing something that very few do and making history, defining a legacy and becoming undisputed champion.
Yeah, I think you touched on it when you said about Tony Bellew. The story is a successful story already. You know, you look back all the way through his career, he was never supposed to be here. He was never supposed to be here sat at this table with all these belts lined up, facing pound for pound one of the greatest fighters on this planet. He's made that happen, you know, through all the setbacks. Like he said, he believed, he put in the work. And I think he's a great advert to any kid that's out there that's starting out, that's actively pro now, had a few setbacks, that just because somebody else is in front of you and somebody else is more talented than you naturally, and maybe things are working smooth for them and they're at the top there, you're grinding away, you're getting the setbacks. You keep working hard, you keep believing what you're doing, you can get there. He's at the top. This is literally the top table. You know, all these belts there, Saturday night, that's what he's going for. He doesn't have to. He could have walked away, like I said. He could have walked away. But then there are regrets. Saturday night, there'll be no regrets. He's done everything that he can possibly to get himself in the best shape. He's done the weight fantastically. You know, I spoke with you before, and that was my initial worry when this fight got made, and we said, you know, it was at cruiserweight. It wasn't going to be at heavyweight. It was at cruiserweight. My initial worry was, I don't know if he's going to make the weight easy. He's made it. I can't believe how he's been so professional. He's done everything right, and the weight is fantastic. The weight is not an issue. And on Saturday night, you're going to get the best version of Tony Bellew, and it's going to be the last version of Tony Bellew.
Obviously, there's been a huge amount of respect
saying that like we haven't said it before.
for Alexander Usyk.
Yeah, but he keeps bringing it up.
But make no doubts, the two of you and the team truly believe that victory will come Saturday night. You know how hard it is, but this isn't about a tribute act to Alexander Usyk.
No, listen, the one thing that works for me, it works for Tony, is that we understand what's in front of us. We always have done. Every fight, we understand the dangers of what's in front. You understand what that man in front of you can do. I think if you go into a fight like this, any fight, but if you go into a fight, you know, the David Hay fights, Makabu's, him, with Usyk, if you go into those fights blind, thinking it's not as good as what they say, it's all hype, you're walking into a minefield and you're going to get the biggest shock of your life, because he is legit. You know, he's a great fighter. And when you understand what's in front of you, you can prepare for it. You can prepare, but we have to prepare for every eventuality. You have to prepare for losing rounds. You have to prepare for being outboxed at some stages. You have to prepare for every bit. You have to prepare for a dogfight. He's prepared for everything. Whatever's going to happen on Saturday night, he's prepared for. And this is why when you look at extensively and you're studying fights, every trainer out there, they all know the same thing. They've all been in positions where their man's the underdog and their man's facing a much better fighter on paper than your man. No fighter's unbeatable. No fighter's unbeatable. There's fighters that are unbeaten. There's no fighter that's unbeatable. And if a man's lost rounds in his career, if a man's been hit in his career, he can be beat. And trust me, Bellew, it's hard enough to knock out anybody. It's hard enough to knock out anybody. His boxing brain's underrated. He can box with them. He can fight with them. But there's something inside him that you could never bet against him. And how many people have been out there and said that we've got no chance in this fight, but they're not going to bet against him because they've lost enough money in the past? You know, he's one of those guys that there's something inside him. That's why he's here today, and that's why he's got himself to where he is today. Regardless of what any coach has worked with him in the past, there's something inside of him that takes him to this level. and you can't train that. And that's what's going to make sure that on Saturday night, all these 5 belts are going to go back home.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you, Alex, Aegis, and Alexander. And finally, Tony, one last word. This fight for you, not really about money, not really about crowds, pay-per-view. This is about, I believe, testing yourself. What is it that made you accept this fight? What does this fight on Saturday night mean to you?
I told everyone, and I was pretty adamant, this isn't about money. If I wanted money, I could have created a bit of drama with someone like, let's just say, Dylan White, a heavyweight. I could have done a gloves are off, I'd have rolled around on the floor and done 1 million pay-per-view buys overnight. That's just the truth, and that's the fact of the kind of numbers I can generate. And I would have earned double the amount I'm going to earn on Saturday night. And I'm not trying to say, I'm not fighting for free, not by any way of the means, but if it was all about the money, I would fight a much lesser fighter than Alexander and earn much more money. So I can put that to bed straight away. The reason I took this fight, it's the biggest challenge in my life. I always knew I could become a world champion deep down. I knew with the right scenario, the right fight, the right location, I will lift the world title. I did think also when I left the cruiserweight division, I was the best cruiserweight in the world. When I knocked out Lunga Makabu at Goodison Park, he was the WBC #1 for over a year. No one wanted to face him. Gregory Joz pulls out. I come in. Alexander was still fighting 8 and 10 round fights at this time. And I done the unimaginable, and I knocked out another monster against all the odds. So when this one presented itself, I didn't ever think this would be possible. I didn't think boxing politics would allow it. I looked at the last time that a boxing tournament had happened, and that was Andre Ward with Michael Kessler. I think it was the Super 8, something like that. And what happened in that tournament, politics played a huge role. Injuries played a huge role. And the belts become fragmented, you know, distributed in different ways, and there was never really one face, one name, one champion. And I thought similar would happen at the WBSS, but it didn't. It all went to plan. And the man here became that one name, that one face, that one champion that every division needs in boxing, in my opinion. And now it's all at stake. And when he had all them 4 belts around his waist, the first name out of his mouth was me, which I couldn't believe. I genuinely still am shocked. I knew he knew who I was, but I didn't think I would be the first name out of his mouth. So I was flattered, but at the same time, believe you me, mate, I'd have fought that night in the middle of that bar on my honeymoon if I could have. That's where I found out he called my name first. So I'm here now, and I'm competing in a fight that I never ever dreamed would ever be possible, and that's what's got me up for it. I'm literally living the dream. I'm here fighting for the WBC, the WBA, the IBF, the WBO, and this little bad boy as well. It's unbelievable. From where I've come from, this was just a dream, an impossible dream. Even I thought this was way beyond me. I never thought this would ever happen. It's happening now. Alexander brings the hardware, and I bring the paper. On Saturday night, we're going to do an exchange. I'm going to give him all the paper he wants, but I'm going to steal his hardware. I'm telling you now. I got labelled the bank robber last time. Don't call me the bank robber no more. Call me the belt robber, because that's all I'm robbing Saturday night. I'm robbing all 4 of them belts, and I'm taking them back to Liverpool. Something that we never as a city, as a country, have ever even seen or dreamed of. No fighter from this country is ever going to do what I'm going to do on Saturday night. I'm going to do it. Believe you me. And you know what? Just so they give a parting gift, even after this is over, this fighter, he's going to go on and win a version of the heavyweight title. Mark my words. He is that good. So I don't want to hear no shit after this fight of, oh, he wasn't that good after all. He is that good. He's exceptional. But it's just styles make fights. And I'm going to prove that on Saturday night. I wish you the very best. I hope you're in the best shape ever. Because Saturday night, we are going to go to war. Believe you me. Blood, everything. I will give it all. But I only wish you good and success. You're an amazing fighter, an amazing champion. But Saturday night, my friend, you're going to learn how to lose.
Thank you. again, an honour to be up here, an honour to be promoting this fight. We thank you for your support, not just today, but in recent times in British boxing that's enabled us to create fights like this, moments like this. This is what we live for. And Saturday night, we're going to have a great night. We wish both camps the best of luck. May the best man win, and the winner will be king of the division on Saturday night. We're going to have a head-to-head, and both guys and camps available for interviews. Thank you very much.
Well, there we have it, Darren. I mean, if there's anything that's going to get you up for a fight,
It's the juices flowing, doesn't it?
Tony Bellew having a chat. I mean, as he said though, it would just be great if Alex spoke a little bit more English, because you feel there's respect between them, and he's definitely got a lot about him as well. But even without the fluent English, he's ingratiated himself massively with the UK fight fans. And I don't think we could be more excited about Saturday now.
No, it's a great fight. I love the way Tony's talking there about, you know, legacy. It's not about the money. He could have earned money elsewhere. This is really about cementing himself in boxing history, and it shows what this means to him. But Usyk is calm as ever. You know, there's something scary about him, isn't there? You know, there's confidence that he uses, and yeah, I mean, there he is with his belts and his new one. Yeah, I mean, he's extremely talented.
His team there, Egis Klimas and Alex Krassyuk, just trying to get the Ring Magazine belt around him. He's a big lad, so they might have to stretch that. But interesting what Eddie Hearn said about the ease with which this was made, given what's at stake, and it just shows you, given all the problems and the back and forth with Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder over the last sort of year or so, if two teams want to make a fight happen, it will happen.
Yeah, and it goes with the fighters as well. You can't be pushed into taking a fight. They both want the fight. The teams want the fight. You know, negotiations went easy. I think they said 10 minutes there. So yeah, fantastic. I mean, they both want it for the right reasons. And usually when that happens, the fight doesn't disappoint. You know, I've no doubt that Tony can take this to places that others haven't.
They're heavy, those belts as well. You of course had the IBF, the red one on his left arm, and the weight of
thanks for bringing that
the weight, the weight of that.
Well, we see Anthony Joshua struggle, didn't we?
Yeah,
to lift them all up. Yeah, he's doing it with ease. He's not shaking yet, anyway. But it's true what Tony says. In terms of stature, in size, they're very similar, aren't they?
They are. A little bit of kidology there. The final stare down before the weigh-in tomorrow. I'm going to try and get a word with Alex Krassyuk and Alexander Usyk after this. Of course, they kindly came to Wembley ahead of the Anthony Joshua Alexander Povetkin bill.
Yeah.
Spoke very well then, but then we see them face to face, and as you see there, Darren, on the screen, not a lot between them size-wise, and two really kind of bona fide heavyweights that have boiled right down under that 200-pound limit. There's no room for manoeuvre. It'd be interesting to hear what Tony's thoughts are, how he's feeling at the weight. First time in 2 or 3 years that he's made the cruiserweight limit, but he looks sharp and fit at the weigh-in.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything to look into, but as the press conference was going on there, Tony was sipping on his protein drink there, which is always a good sign. The day before the weigh-in, I know myself, you know, I'll be lucky to get any fluid in me the day before the weigh-in. So Tony, you know, has obviously made the weight okay, and just looking at them there, like you say, they are very, very, very similar in stature. So again, another reason why this makes for a blockbuster.
So much to talk about tactically, which we'll do so on Saturday afternoon. We'll have a look at the tactics with the Intelligent Boxer. We'll break down the numbers there and just see if we can try and preempt the sort of pattern that we were expecting. You think it's going to go the distance on Saturday?
I do. I think Tony's will to win, his desire, his passion, and not taking away his boxing knowledge and ringcraft. I think he can tough out a 12-round loss, if that makes sense. I think he'll have moments. I do. I think, you know, the crowd are going to get behind him. But I just think, if you're asking me for a prediction, I just think the higher class level of Usyk will show, and I think he wins on points. But trust me, I'll be in that stands with you, cheering Tony Bellew in like I can't imagine.
It'll be an incredible night either way. Anthony Collar on the bill as well, a hometown favourite. It's going to just build towards a brilliant crescendo. And I guess either way, just see there the two Ring Magazine belt holders. Don't know if we can get a look at that. Just going to try and get a shot at that, Callum Smith and Usyk. But again, we go back to talking about Callum Smith. He could be in the same weight division, couldn't he?
All he's got to do is fill out a little bit and he can become a heavyweight.
Unbelievable, isn't it? I think he started off, someone was saying to me, Callum Smith started off his career in the amateurs at a welterweight when he was 6'3", 6'4". I don't know where and how he gets rid of that weight.
Do you know what? It's funny, just talking about the weight classes, you see these multiple world champions, Mayweather, Pacquiao, etc. Coming up from the lower weights never seems as dangerous. I don't know why, but
there are smaller gaps, of course. Smaller gaps,
exactly.
To super feather.
Exactly. I think coming up from super middle to cruiser,
massive gap.
It's huge. But like you say there, if you've got the height, you're able to do it because all it is a case of filling out slightly. But that would be interesting, following his career now as the number one super middle, see where Callum's going. But it was great seeing them both up there, both ring champions. You don't usually get one in a room, let alone two in a room, so fantastic.
We've already had some exciting nights this year, and the prospect we were talking about earlier of Callum Smith potentially fighting at Anfield next year, maybe Canelo, maybe Andre Ward if they can tempt him out of retirement. Potentially Dimitri Bivol could come down to 168, Gennady Golovkin could go up to 168. The world is Callum Smith's oyster, really, and to do it in front of his home crowd, his football ground. We saw him enter Tony Bellew against Ilunga Makabu a couple of years ago. Those nights in boxing are kind of what we live for, really, as fans and I guess as fighters as well.
Do you know what? I think we're the only country where stadium fights happen now. They used to happen years ago, but now I think British boxing certainly is the mecca of the stadium fight, and they look to be happening more often. But I think in terms of fights happening, the world is open now. The boxing world is open, and fights are being made. It doesn't matter if you're in the end of nowhere, you're in Britain. These fights are getting made, and it's fantastic. Boxing is really booming now, and Saturday night is proof of that.
So Sergio Martinez, if you're watching, we'll get Stamford Bridge on the phone as well. We'll drag Darren Barker out.
I'll have that one.
If the money's right, he's saying he's up for it.
Do you know what? I'll do it for nothing. If I could buy a Stamford Bridge against Martinez, I'll do it for nothing.
Could you do the show with me as well, then the build-up? Because it'd be a bit lonely otherwise.
It's not the show I'd be worried about. It's doing 11.6.
What are you walking around now? You're looking well.
I'm about a stone and a half over, mate. But look, Sergio, I'll have that, all right?
He'll be on the blower straight away. So it all kicks off Saturday night on Sky Sports pay-per-view and on Dazn in the United States. Again, Darren, this is the other dimension that's been added to the game in recent months, is that these big fights are now being streamed live in the United States, which is opening up a whole nother level of exposure for fighters. And then we go back to that Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder thing, fans saying, well, he's huge in the UK, but how big is he in the US? There's now no excuse for these transatlantic fan bases to be uninformed as to each other's sort of fighters. It's no excuse for our lot to be looking over stateside and saying we haven't heard of this guy, we haven't heard of that guy. And for Alexander Usyk, he's a guy that we've known about for a few years, but there are a lot of quite well-informed fans who didn't know about him until he won the Super Series final, until he won the semi-final and then beat Murat Gassiev in Russia. Suddenly everyone's going, wow, who's this guy? And he's been around for years. Olympic gold medalist, won everything he could as a professional, yet it's proof in the pudding that unless you have the right profile, the right platform and the right fan base, you can go under the radar for many, many years. But no longer is that the case for Alexander Usyk.
No, and I think a lot of fighters on the Eastern European continent, they're being promoted now by some of the big promoters stateside and over here with Eddie, etc. With the different broadcasters out there, like you say, they're big names now. You know yourself, you know the amateur circuit very well, and there's some exceptional talent out there that doesn't get recognised because they just don't have the backing. But that doesn't happen now. And again, where I say that the world is opening up, the boxing world is opening up, that's another reason. There's more names out there. There's great fighters that are being showcased on these big platforms now, and it's just great for the sport because no one's missing a piece of it now. You could be in a little town in, I don't know, Romania somewhere, but now you've got the potential of headlining in Vegas or Wembley Stadium. It's opened up now, and it's fantastic. Boxing, again, I keep saying it's booming.
A lot of credit has to go to Team Sauerland and Kamosha, the kind of team that behind the World Boxing Super Series, because part of the reason we're here tonight is that those 4 belts and the Ring Magazine belt are on the line, and that's one of the big tempting factors that brought Tony Bellew essentially out of kind of temporary retirement. And those belts are only available because of that tournament, and there are other weights that are going to be both unified and create undisputed champions in the future as well. That has added a completely new dimension to essentially what's been a 3 or 4 belt era for the last 20-25 years, because unifying and being undisputed in the 2 belt era wasn't quite such a complex thing politically because of governing bodies and things like that. But when you've got 4 belts, that's a very, very difficult thing just from a business perspective to get together. So it's very rare that we have occasions like this.
Yeah, and do you know what? I think the WBSS is almost like a magnet for all the belts. It pulls them all together, and it's great. You know, the sport does get a bit of stick for you know, there's so many champions, etc. But that competition is, like I say, is a magnet. Brings all the belts together in most cases, and we do end up with one champion, like we have here this today, and we will have on Saturday. So it's great. Again, tournaments like that, etc., are a great bit of sport. They're exciting. It puts the best with the best, and yeah, I mean, fantastic.
Seems that part of the challenge for this, in terms of as far as Tony Bellew sees it, is putting together the perfect game plan to beat Alexander Usyk. Now, you know Tony well. He's a real student of the game. He watches a lot of the old school fighters, the Roy Joneses, the James Tonys. He's actually with us.
Hi,
Talking the devil. How you doing, mate? You okay?
All smiles.
Tony,
all
grab yourself
smiles.
a mic.
Mike, wow, okay.
We're just saying.
You smell. I tell you, and I smell good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Trying my best. I need to smell nice for Alexander. the superstar is here. You know what I mean? You can't be smelling the Billy Ocean when I'm near it.
We're just saying it is a great shame that he doesn't speak slightly better English.
He does.
Get the sense that
He's on a wind up.
He does. He speaks. I've watched a few interviews in the WBSS. He understands what he wants to understand.
So what is this all about then from his point of view, do you think? Is it just a little bit of mind games, keeping his distance from getting dragged into what he knows is a strong area of your game?
He doesn't want to get emotionally involved in the fight.
Yeah.
And I think that's a wise move with someone like me. I've shown that when I start rabbiting on mates and get carried away with myself, that it can affect people.
You're a man of few words.
Yeah, I am. I speak very little, Daz. You know what, mate? In all honesty, it doesn't need it. Everything's on the line here. I'm doing. I know it sounds a bit cliche and corny, but I am daring literally to be great.
Yeah. Can you give us anything? Not game plan, but how do you win? How do you win? Not
this
giving too much away. How do you win?
And this must have been
Tell you exactly how I want to put this down.
But it must have been the most detailed game plan that you and Dave have had to ever approach, because he's about as complex a fighter as you're ever going to face.
He's brilliant at what he does. He's got everything. He's got everything in his locker, in his thing. He's very, very good, mate, at what he does.
So for you to win, it's a knockout. You're knocking him out.
I only have a puncher's chance.
This is Dave Caldwell. You can always see the zip. You can always see the zip that's been
pulled
behind.
I only have puncher's chance, and I'm supposed to say that, but do you know what, mate? Just watch the fight unfold.
Can't wait.
I can't wait. I mean, the atmosphere is amazing. That's also your 12th man, isn't it? The atmosphere there. You know, you're about in football all the time.
So expect the chess match first, 3 or 4, and then expect a few little things to go on in the fight. His mindset, his timing, his whole demeanour will change. There'll be things that go on in this fight that.
I hope you're not going to smell as nice in the ring. I hope you start stinking. You can't shower now.
Billy Ocean is coming on the ring. Like, I'm not going to mix that up. But I'm in a really good place, and I know what I've got to do on the night.
How do you feel coming back down physically? Because your feet look very sharp, your hands look very sharp. You obviously noticed that extra weight when you went up to fight David Hay at heavyweight. Do you kind of feel like a sort of renewed man losing that extra kind of stone and a half?
Must admit, I didn't enjoy having to get back down again, but Darren will tell you, he speaks from experience. It's got to be done, mate. This the only thing I'll say at this weight, we're heavyweights in shape. I'm still kind of the same physique. I've got a little bit more definition. A slight sign of abs, a bit of a chest.
Hello.
I when I looked in the mirror, who's this fella?
Who's this guy?
What you want?
That's the last time they'll ever come through.
It is, mate.
He's going to have the shorts there this time.
Yeah. You're going to see me navel this time, I think. You know, I'm not going to make any excuses at all. Yes, making weight's tough, but look at the size of him. It's tough for him too.
Yeah, of course.
So the two of us have come down. We're both heavyweights in shape. No excuses, mate. Saturday night, I'm ready to rock and roll. He's absolutely brilliant at what he does, but trust me, when certain things happen in fight, as great as he is, this is not amateur boxing. This is professional fighting. This is
we mustn't forget, he's still only had 11 professional fights
15.
as well. Sorry, 15.
He's got 11
I was thinking
KOs.
I was thinking of Lomachenko, of course it was. 11 KOs, yeah. And I mean, that's a hell of a gap in experience.
It is, but don't forget, he's had over 20 WSB bouts. And WSB bouts, for me, my first 8 bouts were 4 3-minute rounds. He's had 20,
No head
5
guards,
3-minute rounds,
yeah.
5 rounds, small leg guards, taped down hands, no vest. So he's had a lot of experience, but there's a difference between fighting a guy who's savvy and wise. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I am a veteran now of this game, and I've experienced an awful lot, packed into 32, 33 fights. So while I have more KOs than he has fights, he brings a certain pedigree that I've never had to face before in a professional ring, and that's going to be tricky first 3 or 4 rounds. But once they pass, just can you stick with me in the dogfight? That questions that need to be asked. Do you want it as much as me? Because all your career, mate, it's always been your way. You have dictated every single fight of your whole career. As great as he is, he's not unbeatable. Because the Marius Bredas fight, he wins by 1 point. Now, he draws on one card, he wins the next 2 cards, 115, 113. If one of them judges sees that one round another way, the whole fight's a draw. So he's not unbeatable. And Marius Bredas is a very good fighter. Take nothing away from him. I rate Marius Bredas highly. But I ain't Marius Bredas, mate. And everybody who's out there listening to this, Tony Bellew doesn't hit harder than Gassiev. Mate, I don't need to hit harder than Gassiev. I just have to hit him more than Gassiev hit him. Yeah. I need to be more consistent than Marius Bredas was. I need to, all these different things, I need to be fitter than Michael Hunter was, because Michael Hunter was doing great for 4 rounds. Marius Bredas was winning after 6 rounds, 4-2 in my opinion. So no one's unbeatable. What all of these fighters have failed to do is be fit enough to do 12 rounds at the pace he sets, and number 2, offer them enough obstacles to overcome throughout the fight. It's always about what Alexander does. It's never about what the fighter does over the 12 rounds. When this fight starts, it's going to be about what Tony Bellew does, because I'm going to do something that he's never experienced before. I don't care how many amateur fights, how many pro fights I have, I'm going to do things in there that's going to offset him, that's going to upset him, that's going to hurt him. For the first time in his career, he's going to have to get off the floor too. I don't know if he can do that. He's definitely going to have to get off the floor, because you can't. Mate, you can't.
Just sold another 500,000 pay-per-views.
He can't come at me.
Don't fall back.
He can't come at me the way he comes at the other fighters. One thing I promise before I go is, I am not going to at any stage in this fight get hit with a 5 or a 6 punch combination and nothing's come back. That can't happen. I'm not going to stand there and do this. Just tuck up, tuck up. Mate, I'm going to sling back. And he's going to learn that. So let's just see. Listen, all said and done, he might be as good as we think. He might be as good as everyone fears.
If you don't try, you never know.
I could not walk away from this sport and this opportunity, because I did a guest for the rest of my life.
Anyone can beat him in the cruiserweight division, is this man.
Thanks, mate.
And on that note, we will let you go, Tony. What a day it's been so far. Tony Bellew, the former WBC cruiserweight champion of the world, takes on the undisputed 200-pound king. There he is, Saturday night, Sky Sports pay-per-view and on Dazn in the United States. This man,
you might get to see me look like this again.
He smells good as well. Guys, we'll see you back here for the weigh-in tomorrow. Thanks, Tony, for your company. Thanks, Darren. And we'll see you all back here at 1 o'clock tomorrow.